Okay. So, am I live?
Trouble here.
Is anybody out there? Anybody in the chat? Let me know if you can hear me. Can you see me? It's been a really long time since I did a live stream. Okay, cool. Hey everybody. So, today the title of the video is a little bit facetious, but it's technically true. There's no need to call Guinness Book of World Records. But I've actually been wanting to do this for a long time, and I went back and forth about whether to just record it and then do it like a normal video or to live stream it. I think live streaming is the more appropriate thing to do. What I'm going to be doing is, if I was going to redo the title to be more accurate about what I'm going to be doing, I would call it, how long does it take to write a Chinese fantasy novel? Sorry, not a Chinese fantasy novel. How long does it take to write one chapter of a Chinese fantasy novel? So in one of my other videos, I talked about how long it takes to translate it, but I thought it would be cool to talk about, on the author side, how much time they spend writing it. So what I'm going to do in a couple minutes is I'm actually going to live blast through and write an entire chapter. I know that might not necessarily be the most exciting thing in the world, so if you don't want to stick around for that, totally understand. You can always come back later and increase the speed or jump through the video. But before I get into it, I want to go into a little bit of background and explain what goes into the writing these novels, because most of the authors, my understanding is, they have a master outline of their novel. So for those of you who are familiar with the novels, you know that they're very, very, very long, and in some cases the novels end up being just the same thing over and over again. There are definitely novels I know that people complain about where the same stuff happens every arc. Now that's a little bit different. There are other authors who have kind of a master story, and so they plan it out ahead of time. So for instance, Argun, the author, I know for sure uses a master outline, and I don't think they're necessarily incredibly detailed. Probably they have descriptions of the story arc, then they have descriptions of each section within the major story arc, maybe even down to the chapter level. As the authors get better, obviously they get more experience, so they don't need to put as much thought and detail into it. And obviously also it's not set in stone. So for example, those of you who are fans of Argun in I Shall Seal the Heavens, he told me, and Ren, the owner of Wuxia World, that at a certain point, somewhere midway through writing I Shall Seal the Heavens, he experienced some situations in life that kind of like, I don't really know, he was very vague about it, but it was like dramatic situations or something, and it caused him to rethink the novel, and so he, at a certain point, scrapped his previous outline and redid the outline. For those of you who are familiar with I Shall Seal the Heavens, you can probably guess around what time that happened. So anyway, the point is, the authors don't just like sit down and then like invent everything and as they're going along. They obviously have to come up with a cultivation system, their general idea for the major story, and then they start plotting out how it's going to work on a chapter by chapter basis. I really suspect that with the exception of some really experienced authors, it would be almost impossible to just sit down with no idea and then just write a chapter. It's just, there's no way. So I have done a little bit of work leading up to this. Let's see, where to start? Okay, by the way, the idea for this cultivation world, I've created a new cultivation world. I actually came up with a general idea a while back. At the end of I Shall Seal the Heavens, when I finished the translation, I had supporters on Patreon, and I attempted to do a like Chinese fantasy comic book, and I got it a little bit off the ground, but there were problems with the artist, and the artist kind of vanished, and eventually I never really did much beyond the first couple pages. But leading up to that comic book, I had created a general idea for a Chinese fantasy cultivation universe, and so I took that kind of kernel of an idea and then developed it into what I'm going to do for this chapter today. Now, I would say, how much time have I put into it so far? I would say probably an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of work. And I have a cultivation system. I have the main characters. I have the sect. I have a general idea of the world. By the way, I'm going to look at the chat here really quick. 40,000 words of idea. I mean, it really depends on how complicated you want to take it and how long your novel idea is to begin with. Hello, everybody that said hello. Like, for example, what I'm going to be doing today, I don't intend to turn this into an actual full-blown fantasy novel series, so I don't want to expend a huge amount of time planning because it would kind of be a waste. But what I did do is, like I was mentioning, I came up with a cultivation system. So this cultivation system is fairly simple and linear. Obviously, I don't want it to be super complex because I'm only planning to write a chapter. Or if you guys really like it, I guess I could, write some more later. But the point is, I wanted it to be very simple for me to keep track of everything and not just make up stuff as I go along. So it's really annoying if an author would just not have, like, presumably you guys know the difference between soft magic and hard magic systems, and you can go check on YouTube or elsewhere to find more information about it. But long story short is, I think that it's better to have some actual basis for the combat situations as opposed to the author just making up who is stronger. So what I did is I created a spreadsheet that has all of the cultivation levels, and it has, in order to make things simple, I'm basically breaking cultivation down into I'm going to be writing a chapter for those of you. I saw a couple of people asking. I'll get into more detail specifically about what I'm aiming for. I just want to describe the work I've done ahead of time before I start. Anyway, I have a system of cultivation. I have cultivation levels, and I'm breaking it down into basically cultivation base and fleshly body. I'm leaving out the psychic element, which is usually in the novels there tends to be like the fleshly body, the cultivation, and psychic. In order to simplify things, I'm only going to have cultivation, fleshly body. For all intents and purposes, the fleshly body is your like hit points. Not that's oversimplifying it, but basically that's what it is. And so the way I have it is every single cultivation level has a minimum and a maximum cultivation base level, and that is a number. And that number is a number of 10-sided dice. So for those of you who are familiar with polyhedral dice, Dungeons & Dragons is a 10-sided die. And so whatever number level this cultivator has, that is basically their base attack level. So let's say, the lowest level is like 1. He would have one 10-sided die, and you could roll that in a game setting, and the minimum hit he would do would be 1, and the maximum would be 10. And then you compare that to the fleshly body level to determine how much damage is taken. And then as the cultivators get higher, obviously that base number of their cultivation base gets higher and higher. So let's say at a higher level you might have a cultivation base number of 10. That means that when you attack, you would roll 10-sided die. And that in turn would mean that even at an absolute spectacular fail where they all came up 1, that guy would still do 10 damage, in which case he would instantly kill somebody that was of a really low level. That's kind of the general idea. And then obviously there are things that can augment those numbers, make you stronger or weaker or whatever. And of course we have an MC who's going to have some kind of special thing, so he'll be stronger than normal. But anyway, the whole point of me getting into that is I wanted to explain that it's not just me making up stuff as I go along and this guy beats that guy because he's stronger. There are actually some numbers to go behind it. I also have a little map that I made of the sect and the surrounding areas, and that should be helpful when I'm having people actually walk around the sect and whatnot. I'll go back through here. Okay, so what I'm aiming for, let me pull up my little screen here, 1 second. Okay, so what I'm aiming for is, you can see I have the word count visible down here. Let me just make sure and check yeah, that is visible. Okay, so I have the word count there. I am aiming for 2,000 words. I've already I have already put some thought into what specific events I want to have happen in this first chapter. There are about, I guess, I'm going to pull up my little mini outline here that I'm going to keep secret. I guess, sort of 3 main events that I want to happen, and I'm really hoping that I will be able to reach 2,000 words. And as you can see, I do have a timer here that will be keeping track of how long. We're going to see how long it's going to take me to hit 2,000 words. 2,000 words is basically the standard for the Chinese fantasy novel writers. Not what I mean is their quota is 3,000 Chinese characters in order to reach a certain payment level, and that tends to translate into about 2,000 English words, give or take. So when I get to the end of my chapter, my goal is 2,000, but if I can hit close to 2,000, like maybe 1,800, I might accept that. And this brings me to one final point that I want to get into, and that is filler. So filler is a big thing in Chinese fantasy novels. Like I mentioned, and this is a subject for a full video, but because they're trying to reach 3,000 characters, they're in a situation just like I'm going to be in a couple minutes, where they have an idea for what's going to happen in the chapter. They have everything set up, but they might, they might finish at like 1,500 words, and they're like, dang, I need to add in 500 more words. So they have two options. One is they could go into their next chapter's content, but then that might screw up their larger outline. So what is easier to do is they're going to go in and add filler. Now, and of course, they're going to be adding filler in even as they go, just to pad the word count so that they can reach their goal. Now, I'm going to allow myself to have some filler. It wouldn't be a Chinese fantasy novel without filler, but I don't want to go overboard. So I'm gonna have a general rule of no more than 2 or 3 repetitions of something. Beyond that, I'm not going to allow it. I'm not going to say the same thing over again 5 times. I'm going to attempt to not say things over again, but it is a Chinese fantasy novel, so what can you do? And if I get to the point where there are some reactions, because I think I'm hoping to have a section in this chapter where there are some reactions, I'm going to put the limit on 5 reactions. So, like, the reactions to me are sometimes the funnest part of translating, because they tend to be kind of funny and dramatic, and they're actually pretty easy. Like, you can just keep tacking them on there one after another, but I feel like that's a little bit cheating. So my limit is going to be 5 reactions when necessary. So, okay. I don't want to jinx myself, but I'm hoping that this will take between 30 to 45 minutes. That's going to be, I think, pushing it. I'm going to put on a little bit of music here. Let's see here. Okay, I'm gonna try to just have a little bit of background music in there. I do have the chat right next to the writing document. I'm gonna incidentally, can you guys hear the music and is the volume okay? I do have the chat right next to the window where I'm going to be doing the writing. One last thing I want to. I'm not starting yet, I'm just setting up the chapter. This is going to be chapter 1. Okay, save that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share a link in the chat window for anybody who comes later that wants to read the story to... Okay, there we go. Copy the link to the keyboard. Okay, so there is a link there, and you guys should be able to click that. Anybody that comes on later and wants to talk about the story is fine. Music is too loud. Pause for a second, guys. See all the chats coming in. Sorry, there's a delay there. So I turned the music down. Is it quiet now? How about now? Is that better? Okay, I think that we're good. Could somebody just let me know if the music is better now, because I turned it down. Okay, since nobody is repeatedly saying the music is too loud, I'm guessing it's okay. Okay, it's better. Alright, great. Okay, so, let me pull up my little outline, got my map here. Okay, sorry, what I was saying was I put a link into the chat so that you guys can check the story yourself, especially if anybody comes along later. Please do share that with them, that's fine. And if you see any typos or mistakes, point them out. If you have any ideas for the story, you can absolutely suggest them, but I do have kind of a general idea where I want it to go. So, here we go. I'm going to start the timer in just 1 second. I think I'm gonna have to. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna start the timer. Okay. Man, I'm not doing good. Not a good start. Wow, many typos. I check my notes about something here. Okay. Boy, this doesn't make sense. He wouldn't have like forgotten about it. Oh, incidentally, guys, I'm gonna just pause this really quick. If I have things I want to talk to you guys about, I'm gonna pause the time. This is intended to be not a comedy and not a satire, but definitely not to be taken too seriously. There's kind of some funny stuff that I have in terms of the cultivation system and the equipment and the cultivation stuff. So this is supposed to be fun, not super dramatic. I just want to put that out there as a disclaimer. I'm gonna start the timer again. What did I call this thing? Okay. Is that how you sell bracelet? Okay. Yes, it is. Oh shoot! I didn't think of what the symbol of the sect is. Jeez, I have a name. Okay. Isn't the guys? You know the that Korean symbol? Korean. What is it called? not the flag, Korean symbol. It's like the like three swirl. It's on the fan, Korean fan symbol. Yes, what is this thing? This, yes. Okay. What is this? It's okay. So I think so there's okay. Tricolored. Okay. Okay, oh, another thing I do gotta point out is that this is obviously unedited. But that said, like, the fantasy novels themselves are basically unedited for the most part, so. What else would it be? Command medallions. Copper mirrors. No, don't delete everything. So one thing that always I'm gonna pause it really quick. One thing that always is I find difficult to handle in translation is that everything in Chinese is about Chinese characters. In English we have words. I'm just curious what you guys prefer. Would you guys prefer in this situation? Basically, I'm envisioning him like hitting a button and some words come across the screen, except they would actually be Chinese characters. Do you prefer characters or words? Okay, starting the timer again. There we go. I'm gonna have the readout be a different font here, just for fun. There we go. Guys, I gotta check something here about his specific level. Okay. I'm just seeing the chats come through now about the characters thing. Man, the delay is killer here. of a servant? Okay. Okay, 10 minutes, 400 words. 1,600 more words to go. I want to say top of the class, but he's not in the class. Top. Alright, 1/4 done, 500 words. Okay, gotta check my little math here 1 second. I do have an event coming up. Okay. Or not an event, a scene. I didn't check the distances. I'm trying to figure out how, man, I should have done that. I'm not sure how. I'm gonna guess that this is like a mile. Okay, so average person walks maybe 1 mile in 15 minutes during normal terrain. So, okay. Oh, that was a hard turn. Alright, we are now at 600 words. should come up with a name for these things. What are these? These are gonna be not dire wolves. They need to be some kind of wolf, like a not demon wolf. I'm not beating a record, guys. I am setting the record. So after I do this today, depending on how well it goes, maybe I'll try to beat my own record later. And of course, I would fully accept a challenge from anyone else to do the same thing. Okay. With not surroundingly 3 wolves, surrounded by 3 wolves. Okay. Oh geez, how to describe this? Like a jumpsuit? Not a jumpsuit. That's not quite what I'm going for. I'm trying to reach 2,000 words, so I'm about a quarter done now. What? Man, I really don't know how to describe these clothes. Okay, I'm just gonna call him. I'll come back and change this later. Should have put more thought into how to describe this. Like, fitted. That's the word. Fitted. What should it be lined with? Lined with gold. No, gold's too fancy. Blue. Okay. Check my notes really quick. Okay. What did I call it? Okay. No, that's not what I want to say. I'll leave it. No, it's too stupid. Drew, I'm not gonna have him drool. Chameleon wolves. Yes, let's do that. There we go. Man, I'm almost half done, guys. This is actually going a little bit faster than I realized. Well, it is 20 minutes in. When my record said, who do we think will be the first to try it? I don't know, because I'm not sure many of the translators who are interested in actually generating their own content. I know Thieria, I think, has a blog, and Ed Buller, I know, does some of her own writing, so maybe they'll try. Okay, Chameleon Wolves. Why is that giving me... Oh, Chameleon Solves. Okay, Chameleon Wolves, okay. Thank you for the idea of Chameleon Wolves, whoever said that. I'm trying to look at anything, whatever. I'm now going to describe them. Double check my ranking system here. Okay. I guess at a certain point I should describe some of the cultivation system as well. I haven't even touched on that yet. I just saw the hundreds of metas. Okay, I'm gonna pause it again really quickly. So, like, as I've translated these novels, I've picked up on ways to do that and a lot of different number of things, which I'm trying not to do here. Like, if I wanted to, I could pad this way more. I could probably be done with this entire chapter already. I haven't even really repeated anything so far, right? So I think we'll see how, based on the outline I have of what I wanted to happen, I can already tell that I'm not going to get through the full outline. I had hoped to get to the actual biennial trial in this chapter 1, but I don't think that's going to happen. I guess I should probably push the action along a little better. Oh, what? Ah, okay. Here we go. Here's comes some filler. Who is she favored by? I have this note here somewhere. Oh no, I actually erased that information. Hold on. Okay. Your favorite character is about to be introduced, guys. I'm saying that sarcastically. Check name here. I only came up with a surname. I need to come up with a given name. Hold on a second, guys. I gotta check my cultivation numbers here really quickly. He is. Oh, okay. Let me check. I gotta check the numbers here. Right now he is. Okay. 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 checking numbers here. Checking cultivation levels. Make sure I didn't. Yes, correct. Okay. That wasn't mentioning that. That's correct, right? Okay, I'm almost done. 30 minutes, 1,400 words. Here we go. So I had basically three things. I'm going to pause this here. I had basically three things that I wanted to have happen in this chapter. So far, one of them has happened. So the second main thing is going to happen, but not the third, which means that I actually got through this chapter with more content than I realized, I guess. Okay, I'm going to continue the timer here. Whoa, got some typos here. Why is it flagging this as a typo? Yeah, this is a mechanical keyboard. I love mechanical keyboards. I actually just really like typing. I always have. My dad taught me to type when I was probably like, I want to say like 4 or 5 years old, maybe 6. I forget, because I remember we got our first computer in the house. It was a IBM, I think it was a 286 or something even before that. And that would have been in the very early 80s, I'm pretty sure. Probably 83, 84, 85 or something. Okay, continue. Let me check my map here. Let me check something. Okay. This is not right. This is bad. What happens when you get the air knocked out of you? It's been a long time. You like go like, right? I guess that's wheezing. What's the opposite of transparent? What's the word I'm looking for? Opaque. Yeah, there you go. Okay, I'm gonna say that's close enough. And 41 minutes. So, whew, oh man. So there we go, guys. It's 1900 words. I said if I got close enough to 2000. Okay, I'll go in and add a couple. I'm just gonna go in and add a couple filler things in here. Right here. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. Somebody mentioned that I didn't describe her. Here we go. Okay, there we go. One of the problems with Sage Monarch is a lot of the ratings came from before it was translated in machine translation. Unfortunately, the machine translation is just horrific and is really, really bad. And I do edit it a lot, so a lot of the oh yeah, I stopped it. So I spent maybe another minute on those extra lines, but I according to my own rules, I actually did reach the end with about 1900 words. So there we go, about 40 minutes. So I think that was probably a little bit, I was trying pretty hard. If I had planned things out a little better, I probably could have gotten it a little bit faster. Like there were a few parts, as if you've been watching the whole video, where I had to check the dictionary or look up something on Google. If I had put a little bit more time into planning some things out, I could have shaved a few minutes off that. I think it would be really hard to do it in 30 minutes. That said, if it was a fight scene, I could probably go even faster, because fight scenes are easy to drag out, or at least to make it action-packed, adding explosions and rumbling sounds. So I would say that 30 minutes would be crazy fast, and a good author could probably pump out one of these Chinese fantasy novel chapters in easily 45 minutes. But of course, if any of you have ever done any writing, you can hit a block or something and things can take way longer than normal. Where I was talking about Sage Monarch, just a lot of it came from before, and if you do machine translate, it's really bad. So it's like a much more old school novel, and it's not intended to be like a progressive new style in any way. So it has a lot of the tropes that people expect, like even the stuff that I do in here. And the strength of the novel is the overarching story, which is it doesn't even start to get hinted at until about chapter 300, and it's not until chapter 500-600 that you kind of start to get an idea of what it's about. So anyway, it is very Chinese. Is it really a Chinese fantasy work if you don't do the initial work in Chinese characters? No, it's technically not. So this is just I would say it's a close approximation. Let's put it that way. Chinese is very different. Like the way that you type in Chinese, there's different ways to type in Chinese. For example, one way is the pinyin way, which is basically you use the keyboard to type pinyin. Pinyin is the romanization of the Chinese characters, and then it'll pull up options for you that you select. Sometimes you can, like for example, there are common idioms where instead of typing out the whole idiom, you type out the pinyin of the first 4 letters of those characters, and it'll pull it up. So there are ways to type in Chinese that are very fast, but I have no way to know specifically. I didn't look up ahead of time how fast Chinese people can type if they're really good. Like for example, I know that for typing English words, I would say 50 words a minute is pretty good, and then getting above that 60, 70 is getting quite fast. I can type. Well, let's see here. Let's see if I can do a typing test really quick. Let's see. Here we go. Typing test, 1 minute. All right, here we go. Can I make sure this is pulling up so we can see it here? Yes. Okay. Here we go. Let me go back here. Oop. Whoa. Skip, add, show your result. So 83 words per minute. That was not too bad. I've done better on tests before, but so anyway, all right guys, I hope this was an interesting video for you. Thanks everybody for sticking around. Does anybody have any questions before I go? How long is this? I did 40 minutes of the story. I'm not sure how long have we been going on the video total. All right, guess I'll call it a day. I'm gonna put the link to the story in the description so people can check it out at any time. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll come back to revisit this because I did intend. There's actually really funny and cool. Would you be willing to keep it ongoing, like a chapter or two a week? It's possible. It's possible. I have to think about it because I'm trying to manage my time coming up in the coming weeks and months. Just saw somebody ask inspirational music for breaking writer's block. That's hard. I mean, that's a personal thing. I listen to a lot of instrumental music when I translate, and I like the epic music mixes, like Two Steps from Hell and stuff like that. I think those are particularly inspirational. Anyway, I do have a kind of funny twist in terms of what happens after he goes down the well. He falls down the well, and that's where he'll get the special. It's not a cheat, but it's his special advantage. Right now, he is at the bottom of his cultivation level, and like he has the minimum level of strength and almost the minimum level of fleshly body strength. So he's really, really weak. He needs a boost up, so he'll get that boost, and then of course the trials will come, and we can all guess what will happen then. So anyway, yeah, I think we're closing on about an hour here, so I'm gonna end it, and thank you everybody for coming along and joining me as I set the world record for the fastest Chinese fantasy novel chapter of 2,000 words at basically about 40 minutes. So if anybody else can come along and do it faster than that, I would love to have any challengers, and maybe one of these days I'll do a little better planning and have a little better subject matter, combat, which I think goes a lot faster, and maybe I can beat my own record. So okay, I think I'm going to end it, guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.